Back in Southern California to drive the first 5 generations of the Honda Prelude from 1978 to 2001. Obviously with the 6th generation coming out later this year, it's good to get me up to speed, right? But in the meantime, I'm going to be driving around LA in a manual transmission car in the Civic Si. Well, obviously I'll be driving those Preludes in manuals as well, but I'm going to tell you guys what it's like to drive a modern manual in a big city. Is it even worth it? Well, it depends who you are, but I'll tell you my impressions when we get on the road. We have the 2025 Civic here. I've already driven this 2 other times, once in Tennessee and once in my neck of the woods in South Florida. Now I'm in where essentially this vehicle is born and bred here in California. No, it's not made here, the Civic Si, but it is largely designed here. Honda's headquarters is just like essentially in the backyard of this parking garage. And so with 2025 updates, we have a new front bumper, a bigger chin than before. We have rev matching that goes all the way down from 2nd gear to 1st gear now. Previously that was not an option. We have new SI wheels here. We got the SI badge. I love that. That's one of my favorite things about these wheels. So we come to the side. I mean, we got that blacked out spoiler here on the back. No, Honda has added a stiffer B-pillar for side impact ratings, and they've also revised the dampers to account for the stiffer body here. Also, the rear taillights supposedly have been smoked out a little bit. I honestly can't tell. Of course, we have the continued dual tip. I almost said quad tip because I'm used to reviewing some Acuras lately. But yeah, the SI badge still stands out here, especially on this white paint color. SI only comes in a sedan. If you want a manual lift back, you're gonna have to, well, get the Type R or get an Integra with the manual and the A-Spec. If you want to know more about the backseat, watch my impressions when I had it for a week. But I want to start driving this as soon as possible to give you guys my impressions. Ooh, a little intro screen there with a little SI welcome badge. This glossy bezel, the last time I drove this, I don't remember it bothering me, but now it has since driving it here. And obviously it's very, very sunny today, but this bezel has been blinding me a bit. Even the chrome on this tiny volume knob has been bothering me. And even the chrome around the climate control knobs is a bit blinding. So maybe Honda can dole out those things in a future refresh or redesign. Even the Honda badge here, you can see the sun glistening off of it. And then this kind of reminds me of the CR-V that I drove last week, the refresh 2026 CR-V. This can have the potential to blind you as well if the sun hits it just right. But besides that, we have an updated screen here, I believe for 2025 model year. The Bose sound system has been sounding fantastic, of course. I like the deep cup holders here, absolutely fantastic. But let's open up this standard sunroof, something that the Prelude brought into the Honda lineup way back in the day, and let's get on the road. Electronic parking brake here in this vehicle, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I prefer manual parking brake, but it's just a sign of the modern times. Like the fact that we have a manual here in a 2025 going on to a 2026 model year is nothing short of a miracle. And this is something that a manual can afford you, which, I mean, in parking garages or mountains that you have here in California, you can keep it in gear and you can control the descent or the deceleration or acceleration with the grade that you are given. Okay, please, thank you. Yep, I saw you, lady, and her electric. Still have so much rev hang. Let me know if there's a hack or a Honda like ECU tune that will fix the rev hang. That's the thing. I'll try to hustle through first to second here in a little bit to show you how much it does not like being hustled. Ugh. Yeah, even second to third, it does not like being hustled through the gears. All right. So the SI is about engagement. It's about having fun. Ooh, and the rev matching downshifts is probably one of the best parts about this gearbox, or should I say the engine and transmission experience. The auto rev matching downshifts, the shifter is just so smooth, so precise, and just so like satisfying. Like even the vents, right? The Honda vents with the clickiness and everything, even the rotary dials are clicky. The shifter takes that same Honda-ness like mentality as well, and it is great, and I love it. All right, so Honda has so much like smooth and pleasing feedback built into their DNA, and it of course transfers to the manual gearbox here. I can barely tell the car is on. I got mid fan speed on, 3 bars on fan speed, which again, the climate control in a Honda is like next level, heated seats, but like I can barely feel any vibrations in the vehicle. This engine is so smooth. Of course not if you're flying through the gears quickly, it's not smooth, because even though they gave this generation of SI a lighter flywheel, it still does not like to be hustled through the gears. It really enjoys its own pacing, no matter what you do, unless somehow you find an ECU tune for it where it drops those revs between gears to make for it a smoother shifting experience as you're upshifting. But the downshifts are just perfection. They're just so good. Now, I will say, I guess it's because I'm not driving in sport mode, and let's take this turn at a little bit of speed here. Oh gosh, the SI really excels at is its handling. It just feels so premium and so solid in the turns that it feels like a luxury car in terms of its driving dynamics. It just feels so solid. It also feels very insulated. I remember having that experience when I drove the Refresh for the first time in Tennessee. It just feels so premium. Are the seats that premium? No, they're cloth, right? But they're comfortable. My thighs are a little bit squished, and I have fairly narrow hips. So if you have bigger hips and let's say like a 34-inch waist, then it might be a little uncomfortable for you, the SI. But I feel like my torso is really, really comfortable in this seat. And you know what? When I was on the 405, and I don't want to go back to the 405, but I will tell you my experience on the 405. The 405, well, there's a lot of feather in the clutch. There's a lot of nannying going on with the manual transmission. But, it's interesting. I saw a lot of other manuals. I think I saw a Mazda Speed. I saw a Veloster Turbo. I saw plenty of Mustangs. And I think I saw a TSX manual too. So like there were quite a few manuals out there on the 405. And I'm like, okay, it can't be that bad driving a manual transmission in California, all right? You're already like stuck with the monotony of daily traffic. It just never ends. You might as well have a little bit of fun when you get a chance. And when I took that green arrow there, it was what this vehicle is designed for, carving turns. And of course, I've driven, when this vehicle got redesigned, I drove it in the Malibu mountain area, and like I was getting myself car sick because this car's, it can consistently pull G's that my body's not comfortable with. And I honestly get car sick pretty easily, even if I'm driving hard for a while. Yeah, the Civic just feels like it's on rails. Should I say the Civic Si, right, with its specific tuning here to this suspension, and the summer tires and the fancy SI wheels it just has so much grip. It feels smaller than what it does. So what's interesting is like I drove the Acura ADX, and the ADX and the Civic are almost identical in length, all right? But the ADX that I drove just a couple of weeks ago felt so much bigger and chunkier and way more boring to drive. It's crazy that that's on the same platform and it has the same bones as the Civic, because the Civic and the Integra, I guess you could say, are just so much more rewarding to drive honestly, the experience in here is just as luxurious from an NVH perspective as the ADX was. All right, except that I have a manual here. I actually have quite a bit more horsepower coming out of this engine, and even though it's like the same 1.5 turbo, I don't, other than like an ECU tune, I don't know what's different between this and the ADX. I would assume it's just a copy and paste, but like this just feels so much more premium and more rewarding as a premium sports car than the ADX. I know I should be comparing this to the Integra. It is very Integra-like, but it can be had for a lot cheaper, right? This is around $30,000. I know it's gone up over the years. And the Integra manuals, I think around $36,000, but you get nicer seats in the Integra A-Spec advanced trim. You know, you get ventilated seats, I think you do. If memory serves me correct, it's been a couple of years since I've driven the non-Type S Integra. All right, fuel economy here. Driving mostly in town, a little bit on the freeway. It says 27 miles per gallon. I'm pretty close to the ocean, so it's at sea level for the most part. And yeah, that's what I remember getting in Florida, was around 27 miles per gallon city. I do remember this. If you're driving a lot of highway, you should be able to get mid-30s. I remember being very, very efficient on the highway. What are all these people? Are these people? I don't know. Guys, is this a California thing? I don't know. No, you're not getting, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what. The only time I maybe, thank you for your donation, for the rehab house, I have no cash. I have no cash, so sorry, bud. There we go. You know, they're raising money for rehab, so I want them to stay clean, but I got no money for them. Okay, so here's the big question. If I lived in LA or a big city, would I get the Civic Si or the Civic Hybrid? And the answer is I'd get the Civic Hybrid. The manual is fun. The manual feels more like a weekend car when, you know, if you're in the city all the time. What did I get? 48 miles per gallon? I got 40, so you're getting 20 miles per gallon better in the Civic Hybrid compared to the Si. It's a lot faster, a lot more responsive, almost as good in the turns. It doesn't come with the same rubber this car does, but it's about 90% as good in the turns, all right? And, you know, if I lived in a more rural setting, I'd be driving more highway with instances of mountains and fun canyons. The Si, absolutely. But for city usage, the Civic Hybrid with the 2-liter with the 200 horsepower and like the huge torque advantage that it has over this, it has 200 horsepower equal to the hybrid, but the hybrid has like 200 and what is it? About 240 pound-feet of torque, something like that. I know it changes a little bit from the CR-V, which has 247, to the Civic Hybrid. It's a slightly different hybrid system, even though it has the same engine. There's no denying that the hybrid is better as a city vehicle with the efficiency, the responsiveness off the line especially. How would I compare this to the Elantra N that I just drove recently? Well, the Elantra N is way faster. It's more fun than this car. This car feels a little bit more refined. It feels slightly more rigid, and maybe heavier as a result too. The Elantra N is very close to like a Type R in terms of everyday performance and maybe even track performance. The Elantra N is what I feel like the Si could be if they put a 270 horsepower 2-liter 4-cylinder in here, which Honda has in the TLX and the RDX, but yeah, you know, they used to have it in the Accord as well, but they don't have it in the Honda lineup anymore. It's really sad. So I wish the Si had that. Would that increase the price? Yes, of course. But I feel like, why can't we have an Si, which is this, and an SIR or something that would have a detuned 2-liter turbo? That would be fantastic. That would be amazing. But Honda, you know, just being super conservative nowadays. Like, this vehicle feels great. It's so refined that it's a little bit on, dare I say, like a little too conservative for, you know, the target audience. Like, this vehicle kind of has racer boy vibes from the outside, but when you drive this car, it's so luxurious, it's so solid feeling. I'm not saying luxurious from like a materials aspect, I mean just from like a user interface aspect, and from like this how everything feels in here just feels very premium. I kind of want a little bit more raw. I want something a little bit more raw. In the SIs, there's nothing raw about it. It's so civilized that it's kind of opened up that market absolutely for things like the Elantra N to just come in kind of, I don't know. I don't want to sit at these lights anymore. I'm gonna go right here. I just can't do it, guys. I can't sit at these lights. I'd rather get lost and keep driving. And that engine's so quiet. It's so smooth and so quiet. You know, I know it gets a little bit louder if you put it into sport mode, but you know, it's not, you know, I don't really enjoy speaker noise from the Civic Si, or really any cars for that matter. I want to hear the engine in its natural form from an enthusiast perspective almost every single time. And there's zero exhaust noise on here. That's something that the Elantra N, for example, just takes us to school on. All right, so, you know, even in California, I know you're not going to be able to legally probably put a better sounding aftermarket exhaust in most cases, but I'm sure they exist out there. And this car would really liven up and give me a little bit of that edge, a little bit of personality that this car deserves. Waiting for you. Is the suspension too tight for your crummy streets in California? Yeah, it's on the border. It's definitely not too tight or too stiff in here. I think it does a good balance of firmness and ride quality. So I can't really complain. I have perfect streets where I live in Florida, and like this car rides like a dream there. Has this vehicle gone too civilized, too grown up? All right, I don't know, maybe, but I wonder what the average age buying this SI is. Is it millennials like me, who are pushing 40? Some of us are over 40. Not me yet. I'm not there yet. I'm holding on to my 30s, but I do appreciate just how civilized this vehicle feels, and it is definitely, oh, there's an Integra right there. It's definitely an SI, kind of in like naming only. You know, Honda doesn't offer the Sport Touring manual anymore with the turbo, right? The Sport Touring's hybrid only now, and so this vehicle, I don't feel like yes, the leather seats. Other than that, I don't feel like I'm missing anything from like a premium manual transmission sports car perspective. I like a little bit more horsepower, but this is still fun, and obviously plenty for a city, which this video is focused on. But if you also compare it to something else like the, I know it costs more, but the GR Corolla, that feels like a tuner car. It definitely does not feel like a from the factory sort of vehicle. It kind of has this really loud whistle to the turbo. It's just got so much more character than the SI. Now this has a way better interior, and you know, but the thing, yeah, it doesn't feel as special something like the GR Corolla, for example. But I'll see you guys in the comments. I need to shut this down before I get too lost. I think I'm going back the right way, but I'll see you guys in the comments. Let me know if you like this camera angle. I think you guys can see my feet. It's not like I'm doing heel-toe downshifts or anything anyways. I think you can see the shifter. I think you can see the road, and we have a GTI in front of us, which I have no way of knowing if it's a manual or not. But yeah, there's probably more manuals in California per capita than anywhere else in the United States. So let me know if you have a manual transmission. Do you live in a big city? Did you used to have a manual and then you just couldn't deal with it? Is it too frustrating to live with it in a big city? And so you got rid of it for something else with an automatic car, which is just about everything on the road is an automatic besides most motorcycles, and just a handful of these vehicles. Like, oh, there's a Scion XB. Some of those are manuals. Those are hard to find. But I'll see you guys also in all my upcoming Prelude videos. I don't think there's no embargo. Those vehicles are ancient, so it's not like there's going to be a driving impression embargo. Ooh, there's a nice. It looks like a Suzuki or something, but that was really cool. And there's your classic 4Runner lifted with massive 35-inch tires or whatever. So thank you guys. Catch you in the next one. Cannot wait to drive the Preludes tomorrow morning. Have a great day and peace.